Okay, so let's start today with a little fun, something that we haven't done for a while. Some of you may never have done this one with us. This is the bee buzzing, the buzzing of the bees. Okay, so the the simple version is we take a nice full breath, we close our eyes, we can cover them with our hands and go. And you have your teeth a little bit apart and your lips together, and you go, mm. That's the simple. Now, to make it even more supercharged, we put the pads of our thumbs, we close the flaps of our ears with the pads of our thumbs. Okay, don't stick the points in. And you close. And don't do this yet, or you won't be able to hear me giving instructions. Okay, very funny, Casey. Um, so when I tell you to, you're going to close the flaps of your ears with the pads of your thumbs and put your fingers over your eyelids. Okay, so that's it. And you'll take a deep breath and you'll go again, lips together, teeth slightly apart, and take a deep breath so that you can get lost in the sound. You can get lost in the timelessness of it, right? It's not, some of these things, we like to do them for a long time, not because we're trying to set an endurance record, but so that we can, something happens when you stay in one of these things, especially if it's a soothing, enlivening thing like this for a long time, which is that somehow the time dimension starts to melt away. We start melting into timelessness, which is where we always are, but we start melting into conscious timelessness. Okay, so let's just sit up comfortably. We'll do that 3 times and then just, remain with our eyes closed and drop your hands to your lap and we'll go from there. Okay, so nice deep breath. Here we go. So, nothing much to do. Gravity is holding us nicely in the seat. We could say gravity is Mother Earth's way of clutching us to her bosom. So everything's fine. Mom's got us. We don't have to work to stay in the seat. We don't have to work to breathe. Not even paying attention most of the time to our breath, and yet it takes care of us. We're so taken care of. So we can just relax into that state of being taken care of. Our senses are working all by themselves. So we hear sounds, maybe we see colors, we feel sensations. None of it takes effort. All of it is spontaneous. All of it completely taken care of for us. So we can just give ourselves over to that. The gentle comings and goings of sounds and sensations. The gentle comings and goings of thoughts and feelings. All the same. All going on by itself. Just like, sort of like watching the river flow. Just let the river flow. We don't try to supervise it. We don't try to orchestrate it. Oh, there goes a piece of driftwood. Great. There goes some leaves. Great. There's some foam. Great. Now the surface is glassy. Now it's rippled. Great. Nothing for us to control. Nothing for us to stop or start. Just let the river of moment to moment experience flow. And even to say let it flow is kind of a little joke, because it's going to flow whether we quote let unquote it or not. We just remain as we've always been. So the silent witness to all the flow of experience. The awareness that's effortlessly, frictionlessly aware of all the flux of experience. Just resting in the silence, this resting in the silent witness, resting as the silent witness, the witnessing awareness. Which is not changed by any of the experiences that it witnesses. Not affected. We may have thoughts and feelings about things that we witness, but notice that the thoughts and the feelings also are witnessed by this silent awareness. The thoughts and feelings are not the witness sitting on the bank of the river. They're part of what flows by. Make that distinction. Make that distinction and you're free. And to make that distinction, there's nothing to do. Just notice how things are. This same unchanged awareness that was aware of every moment of your day up to this point. It's not some special meditative thing that we trot out when we sit down and close our eyes. It's this same silent, unchanged awareness that's been aware of every moment of your life. And it never changes and never can change because there's nothing to change. Because it has no qualities. It's the observer of all qualities. This awareness can't get bigger or smaller because it has no size. It can't get warmer or cooler because it has no temperature. Can't get harder or softer because it has no texture. This awareness can't even get sharper or duller, more alert or more drowsy. Because even alertness and drowsiness are qualities that we're aware of. Even if you're falling asleep right now, you can notice that that experience of falling asleep is something observed by this same silent witness. And we don't work at any of this observing. We're just aware. That's what we are, awareness. We just rest in that. At any point, if we realize we've gotten embroiled in some cluster of thoughts or some feelings, it's just kind of obsessed with it or resisting it or something. Seems like it's not just one more thing flowing down the river, but somehow that we're gripping it. Just relax your grip. Relax your grip. Relax back into this silent awareness, which is the witness of all things, including that thought. If 10 seconds later you're embroiled again, fine, relax your grip again. Every time you do that, it loses the thought or the feeling, whatever it is, loses some of its power over you. Actually, it has no power. Thought can't have power to grip you. You're gripping it. It's really a matter of breaking the energy of that habit. Not trying to push it away, which is another way of being more deeply embroiled. Just relaxing your grip. Every time you relax your grip on something, that's an assertion of your freedom. Take a few minutes to start gently bringing the body back to a more active state. Keeping the eyes closed still. Maybe stretching your limbs, squeezing your hands, rubbing your face. Sipping your beverage. And then when you feel ready, you slowly open the eyes. Okay, how's everyone doing? Everyone good? I like Anna's style. As she's flopped out below the frame, and we see her thumb come up into the frame. Good, good. Any questions or about meditation, awareness, life, etc., or stuff on your mind?
Hi.
Hi, Yehudit.
I'm hesitating to bring it up, but as I was sinking into the meditation, then you said something about, and I got a bit lost because you said something, or maybe I'm not sure that I got it right, that you said distinguish between the thoughts and the feelings. Or did I get it wrong? Did you?
Okay. I'm sorry. Maybe I said that in a confusing way. I said the distinction between thoughts and feelings on the one hand,
Oh,
and the awareness on the other hand, which is aware of thoughts and feelings.
okay, okay.
Right.
Because I said, how can I separate that? Especially this week, my information from the television, watching the horrible news is affecting my thoughts, and the thoughts affecting my feelings so badly, and the feelings affecting my thoughts. It's like a turmoil. So I got a bit lost. So if you can again repeat that, then it will be better.
Okay. So I was not saying draw the distinction between the thoughts and the feelings. I was saying, here's going down the river, the thoughts, the feelings, the sounds, the sensations, the sights, everything we're aware of. We don't care. Is it a thought? Is it a feeling? Is it a color? Is it a sound? It's all one thing, which is it's all phenomena. Phenomena. You know that Muppet song? Right? Phenomena. Do, 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 do. Phenomena. Do, 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 do. How many of you know are familiar with that song? Okay, go online, go to YouTube right after this and look it up. There's a few. The best is the original 1969 version. You can find it on YouTube, and it is fantastic. Okay, phenomena. Do 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 do.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
love it because it sounds like phenomena. In fact, there's a later version where Kermit gets that mixed up, phenomena and phenomena. Um, it's just all, for us, it's all at the time of meditation. Of course, when we come out of meditation, we have to draw distinctions. We have to know the difference between for instance, a red light and a green light. That's important when you're out of meditation. That's one of the things that's so glorious about meditation. It does, nothing matters. It's all, what is it? Phenomena. Done. Dusted and done, as they say. Right? So all there is the phenomena and the awareness that's aware of the phenomena, which is non-phenomenal. Okay? Now, don't take my word for this. Don't take the Buddha's word for it. Don't take Jesus's word for it. Even though we have a consensus on this, it's very important that you confirm this for yourself. That there's phenomena, and there's that which is aware of the phenomena, which is non-phenomenal, meaning it doesn't have qualities, it doesn't change. Okay, and it can't change because there's nothing to change. It can't get bigger or smaller because it has no size. It can't, right? I said this in the meditation. It can't get warmer or colder because it has no temperature. It can't get higher in pitch or lower in pitch because it's pure silence, right? We were playing with a couple of questions a few weeks ago, right? Am I aware? I forget what the second one was. I have to check the videotape. But the third one, I believe, was, can I possibly be anything other than non-phenomenal awareness? Can I possibly be? Not just that I have awareness. Because if we say I have awareness, what is the I that has it? The body, the name, the personality, but that's all stuff I'm aware of. That's all stuff that is observed by, if you really get this thing that all this time we've been using the word I, and we sometimes use it to, when we say I have a cold, to talk about the body, but in the deepest sense, when we use the word I, what it's been referring to all along has been awareness, has been that which is experiencing all this stuff, very simply. There's a sense that even though all the stuff you were experiencing, that you were observing when you were 3 years old, including the body you looked down and saw, that's all gone. It's different. The urges, the things that seemed urgently important to you when you were 7 or when you were 17 are, very different from now. But there's something, some silent thread of witness that's been observing it all, which doesn't change. So that's the distinction that I was talking about. That's the important distinction. Now, having said that, Yehudit, thank you for your misunderstanding, because that raises another great point, which is that in fact, can we distinguish between thoughts and feelings? And well, you're shaking your head no, but in your little paragraph you said a few minutes ago, you very clearly distinguished. You said, I have the thought, and then that kicks up the feelings, and then the feelings feeds back and kicks up more thoughts. So you're talking about two different things interacting. And that's a very valuable observation. It's not as important as this one. This other one, which is that I am non-phenomenal awareness. I can't possibly be anything else. Everything else is the observed phenomena. That's the thing. You get that thing not just as a notion, not just as an idea, but as a lived reality, then, you got the thing. You got it. That's the deal. And that basically this whole awakening process is about getting that, and then the deepening of that experientially. Just it gets more and more clear through our meditation and our exploration of insight, which is what we're doing now. But also, why do we call feelings feelings? Because they feel a certain way, right? Anger feels a certain way. Joy feels a certain way. Joy, in my experience, feels like an effervescent something around my cranium, kind of a champagne feeling, if that rings a bell for anyone. Okay, or you know, love. You know, there's a reason why. You know, Valentine's Day we send out hearts, right? And they look nothing like the blood pump in here, nothing like the physical heart, right? But we don't mind that because it's not. It has nothing to do with the physical heart. What it has to do with is the heart center, the heart chakra, if you will, which is an energy center. Which is when we're melting in love, melting in that recognition of this non-two-ness with, you know, our newborn grandson or whatever it is. There is often this kind of melting, opening feeling here. Right? I see some people nodding. You know what I'm talking about, right? So feelings feel certain ways. That's why we call them feelings. Thoughts are more abstract. Thoughts are like little stories. They are. You're absolutely right, Yehudit. They're generally very intimately connected, and so intimately connected that we very frequently don't clearly distinguish them. And you'll hear people say, well, I feel blah, 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 and I feel blah, 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 and it has nothing to do with feelings. What it has to do with very often is some long thought story, some long set of opinions that they've been working on for a while. It has nothing to do with feelings. You know, or they'll say, okay, let's sit down and talk about the feeling. And it may involve a feeling that they had once for 5 minutes and has been gone for a long time, but they're still dealing with the thought, all the thoughts associated with that situation. And so this is another thing to play with. This is another part of your homework, to whatever degree you want to pursue this, that I've found to be very fruitful, to pay attention to that distinction, pay attention to those dynamics of how, you know, you're walking down the sidewalk, you pass the alley, all of a sudden, boom, your friend jumps out, and you feel that startled feeling. That's a feeling. It feels a certain way. Now, a very small fraction of a second later, there's a thought, what was that? Who was that? And then another fraction of a second after that, it's, oh, that was Fred. And then there's the thought, Fred is such a jerk. Why did he do that? Okay. Now, normally we lump all that together. But if you start looking at the stuff, looking at making the distinctions, you start seeing how it works. And the more clearly you see how it works, it's like seeing how the magic trick happens. Because usually we feel that we're at the mercy of these amalgamations of thoughts and feelings. Right? This thing happened, and there's this family situation, and this illness situation, and we have the thoughts weighing on us. We have the feeling. Sometimes it can feel, you know, we say, oh, it's such a heavy thing. It literally feels heavy. Okay, to distinct, and sometimes there's the one, sometimes there's the other, sometimes there's the both. But the more clearly we see how they work and how they interact, it's like we're seeing how the magic trick is done. We start seeing, oh, this is the part where he pulls the dove out of his sleeve, right? This is the part where, oh, he palmed that penny. He didn't really make it vanish, right? And the more that happens, the more we're freed from the grip of that stuff. It doesn't mean we become unfeeling. It doesn't mean we become robots or you know, rocks. That's the stereotype, cliche of the meditator, that you become detached, dispassionate, just, you know, and it's not the case. All the most awakened people that I've had the privilege of being around had the full range of human emotions available to them. They laughed, they cried, they danced. And in fact, the more we become free within that, the more free we are to fully experience our emotions. Because before that freedom, I think we're all a bit afraid of our emotions because we're afraid of being overwhelmed by them. But the more you kind of find that freedom within them, the more you can just feel free to just totally have feelings. You can't be overwhelmed even by the biggest tidal wave of feelings because you've discovered that what you are, the silent awareness, is the ocean. And even the tidal wave is not as big as the ocean. Okay, is this landing for you? Is this making sense?
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Helpful.
Good,
It's
good.
helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. What else? Yes, Marie, please unmute yourself. Marie, you're muted. Hold on. I may have to, hold on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
There you are.
We had a tough week here, being just about 10 miles from the fires, and we live close to the woods, so we were ready to evacuate, and the next step would be to evacuate. It cleared up because the winds turned the other way, so it didn't clear up, but it's much better. And I have to say that I had a really hard time meditating.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, even if it's not in a tough situation, sometimes I get the idea it's a shallow meditation. I have such a hard time totally relaxing into the awareness. Like there are just too many thoughts, and I already discovered I can work with it, but sometimes can be overwhelming. Like this week was overwhelming for me.
Mm-hmm.
So the question was about how can I do better under these circumstances? And I know that you have mentioned before that we don't need to worry about how deep we go because it's just sort of relaxation. Relaxing into the awareness. So that's the question.
Yeah. In a sense, our experiences in the outer world are always testing and challenging our rootedness in the silence. Right? Now, what you just experienced was a very, very tough test. Right? I mean, had to be facing the possibility of evacuating your home and having thoughts about, gee, is my home going to burn down? That's that's a short of having the actual health and lives of your family members threatened. That's one of the toughest challenges we can have. So the first thing I would say is be easy on yourself. Think about, often in these situations, what I find to be helpful is, what if it were someone else? What if it were a good friend? Marie, if it were a good friend saying to you, geez, we're right on the brink of having to evacuate our homes and the fires were getting close and all that, and I found I couldn't settle deeply into my meditation, I think you would be saying, oh, go easy on yourself. Of course, that's a big, tough test, right? So be at least as compassionate, to cut yourself at least as much slack as you would cut for other people. Okay? That's the main thing that I would say. And the other thing I would say is that we're always living in the well, okay. The second thing I would say, there's going to be three things here. The second thing I would say is that even if in the meditation itself it just seems like turmoil, right? Which is natural in that situation because all this stuff about fire, evacuation, what are the plans, all that's getting processed. But what's more important, in a sense, really what's always more important, where the real integration happens, is when you come out of meditation, when you're dealing with the situation out of meditation. And I would bet that you were dealing with it with more composure and steadiness and centeredness and clarity than you would have if this had happened a year ago. Yes?
Yes. I was pretty cool about it. It was just like, I'm just referring to kind of a havoc in thoughts.
Right.
But otherwise, we were pretty cool. We were ready to walk out and,
Yeah. Yeah. So actually you got an A on the test. Okay? Because that's where the test is. Meditation itself, we never worry about the grading or evaluating what's going on in the meditation. We can't know. It's way too complex. How many people, let me put you on gallery view so I can see here. How many of you have ever experienced this? You're having a meditation and, during the meditation, you're thinking, oh man, this is just chaos. It's just thoughts and feelings and blah, I'm not sitting here silent like the Buddha. I'm perking away like Mr. Coffee, right? What a waste of time. And then you come out, it's time to come out and it's like, oh man, these eyes don't want to open, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Okay, good. Don't forget that experience. That's very instructive. That's telling you, it's telling you to completely forget about this thing. I'm having a good meditation. I'm having a bad meditation. It's way too complex and subtle for us to know. And also because the sinking happens naturally and gradually, organically and incrementally, we don't realize how we're sinking. We don't realize because we think we're not sinking because, there's still thoughts going on. But there can be thoughts going on down here just like there's thoughts going on up here. Or there can be thoughts going on up here and we're down here and kind of vaguely aware of the thoughts going on up here. Right? And if we keep going, wait a minute, that's going on, we're just, forget about it. Right? This is the New Jersey mantra. Forget about it. Right? I had 33 years of that. Forget about it. It's the Sopranos mantra. What are you going to do? Nothing. Nothing you can do, and nothing you have to do. Where the rubber, I remember, God, Joe Clark, the late Joe Clark, a meditation teacher early in my life. Someone said to him, because we were with a teacher, Maharishi, who was talking about all these different higher states of consciousness, which, transcendental consciousness and meditation, and then cosmic consciousness and celestial consciousness and unity consciousness and all this. And someone asked Joe, well, what's the state where the real enlightenment happens? And he said, waking consciousness. The daily feet on the ground, that's where it all happens. That's where it all gets pulled together. Mm-hmm. And the one other thing, point 3 about that is, good, Marie, in this case, you were able to realize, oh yeah, I handled this more coolly than I would. Sometimes the way we experience it is we go through the whole day dealing with this, whether it's the crisis of the fire or the thing at work or the thing with family. And at the end of the day, when you're, putting on your jammies, at the end of the day, you're sitting on the bed and you kind of feel like, God, it kind of feels like nothing happened today. It's a subtle thing. Because more and more what actually is happening is that the sense of doer, everything still gets done, but the sense of doership is slowly evaporates. Right? And can you see why that is in terms of what we were discussing before? Because as long as we think we're the body is doing stuff. The body is pushing the car, to the gas station, and the body's moving the fingers on the keyboard, or as long as we think we're the mind, that is this thinking capacity, oh, we had to do this and figure this out. As long as we think that we are the personality, oh, we're interacting with all these other personalities. But as it becomes more and more clear that no, we're the awareness that's aware of the body doing that stuff, aware of the mind, aware of the personality. The mind, the personality, the body, all that stuff is in the river. We, the awareness, all that it does is sit on the bank and watch. And even to say watch is too much of an active verb. It's just spontaneously aware of, because that's what it is. There's this beautiful thing in the Upanishads, which some of you I know are familiar with, the ancient scripture for the Indian, the Vedic tradition. This beautiful thing about the two birds. There's two birds always sitting in the tree. They're the best of friends. One bird seeks the fruit, eats the fruit, enjoys the fruit, builds the nest, does this, does that. And the second bird just watches the first bird. Right? So that's how that is. That's how that works. So the more we realize that what we are is by the way, this is in the Gospel of Thomas. Right at the end of the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, it's a beautiful teaching, just two words: be passersby. Be passersby. Right? And that only makes sense if you're having this experience that we're talking about, experiencing more and more clearly yourself as simply awareness, non-phenomenal awareness, right? If we take it on the surface level, be passersby, that can sound like, oh, be, callous. Oh, gee, this person's hurting, this person's in trouble, this thing's going on. We just pass by and don't help them. It's just the opposite. The more we become awake to the fact that we're non-phenomenal awareness, the more we can completely throw ourselves into compassionate action and know that we won't be overwhelmed by it. So the clearer that becomes, the clearer that's why at the end of the day we feel like, gee, I know I did all that stuff, and it's kind of a paradox. I feel like I didn't do anything. And then more and more that becomes, that lag goes away. Even as you're doing it, you feel like, and some of you have probably had moments like this. For a lot of people, it comes maybe even if they've never meditated, never, explored Dharma teachings at all, but just, doing some athletic thing, running, singing. I've got a couple of my choir buddies here. Doesn't it sometimes happen when you're singing and the voices are blending beautifully, and that it's like no one is singing,
Mm-hmm.
right? No one is singing. And there's something about that, just that effortless flow of that has nothing to do with anyone doing anything, and that's so delicious. And it could very well make us feel, gee, wouldn't it be lovely if just life could be like this all the time? And the good news is, yeah, it can. That's what awakening is like. Just more and more like that.
Just takes a long time to be a passerby.
Takes a long time. Maybe. We don't know. We don't know. No one knows. That also is completely unknowable. In any case, it's not like you're ignorant and you're ignorant and you're ignorant and you're ignorant, and then one day, bang, you're enlightened. We're growing in it all the time. And that means that as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other on the awakening path, it means your darkest days are behind you. Right? I mean, in terms of the outer stuff, all kinds of shit can still happen, of course. But in terms of our awakeness, the boundlessness of being the observer of it, where there's only, we're past our most ignorant days are behind us.
Mhm.
And sometimes we can feel, I remember my old teacher Maharishi saying, it's like we're on the train. And sometimes it feels like, oh man, I'm looking out the window of the train and I can really see the landscape passing by. I really feel like I'm making progress with this stuff. And then sometimes you feel like, nah, the train's gone into a tunnel. It just feels dark, feels like nothing's happening. But then, said Maharishi, maybe the next day, you come out of the other end of the tunnel and you realize, whoa, I covered a long distance in that tunnel.
I have to say that since, I started the meditations with you, I have changed. I've
Yeah.
calmed down, and I'm just happy with the progress I'm making, like every day. So,
Great.
big compliment to you, Dean.
Good.
I've tried for many years. I mentioned it to you,
Yeah.
last year, and I'm making, really the kind of program that makes me very happy.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. I love hearing that. That's just, for me, that's the best thing I can hear, And, you just needed just that little bit of someone pulling the rug of effort out from under your meditation. That was all.
I think it was the kind of meditation that I respond to because, I've been, with Buddhism, with, with the Hindu tradition, many years originally Christian. So this is, how I can respond to this,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I needed all the previous, travel.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I mean, somehow you're here now. And,
Right.
evidently on some level, we all have to go through whatever we have to go through to get here now. And then who knows what's next. But I think that, about this question of, oh, it, takes such a long time to wake up. Right? That's in that George Harrison song, right? My sweet Lord, I really want to know you. I really want to see you, but it takes so long, my Lord. Yeah, there's some of that. There's some of that. But if we have that sense, that perspective, that if we just keep putting one foot in front of the other, our least enlightened days are behind us. The Dalai Lama said something about this, which is, he said, as long as we have determined that we're going to keep moving along the path until we reach full awakening, says then the outcome is assured.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As long as we have just completely decided we're going to keep moving along the awakening path until we're totally there, then the outcome is assured. Then it's a matter of, it's just a matter of when, and that doesn't matter. He said, because as long as you're moving along and you're growing in your own awakening and your own compassion for others, then great. It's great to be, do this for thousands of lifetimes. Whereas he said, if you're just hanging around wasting your time, then even one lifetime is too much.
And it's a happy journey too.
And it's a happy journey. And look at all these wonderful friends we have journeying with us. That's the best. That's the best. That's the sangha. And Marie, I know you're familiar with these Buddhist terms, and where it's always the Buddha, the Dharma, the sangha, and sometimes hear people say it's the three gems, but no, it's the triple gem. It's the one gem. They are all inextricable parts of one another. The Buddha, the fact of awakening, the teacher, Dharma, the example not only of the Buddha 2,500 years ago, but Buddha, awakeningness, right? The Buddha that we're all growing into becoming. The awakened one, we're all growing into becoming. The Dharma, all the teachings, all the processes, all the path that brings us there. And the sangha, the community, the beloved community, right? All our wonderful friends who are here along with us. And every one of those is equally important, and you can't have any one of those without the other two. So thanks for showing up, everyone. Peter? Yes, please.
Yeah. Personally, the last 2 years, I've been on this intense emotional roller coaster ride, just dealing with personal tragedy and my wife dying, and I was her full-time caregiver, and just having a full-scale meltdown, but still meditating during that time. And it ended up being helpful in awakening. I was in that dark tunnel that you talk about, when the train went into the tunnel, and wow, it all seemed dark for quite a while. But that allowed me to see, like, the emotions were going by fast and furious. But it's only when all that intense emotion happened that I started to understand that that's not me. That's something that's happening.
Right.
The only way to cope with it was to, like, retreat into my own awareness.
Right.
So it ended up being helpful to me in the long run.
Yeah.
And now then I came, out of the grief, out of the anxiety, out of the chaos, and had other things waiting for me on the other side of that.
Right.
And now there was loneliness because I lived alone with my wife, and then COVID-19 hit, and it felt like, oh my God, I'm totally isolated now. But again, I had, like, faith that, okay, this is going to be a good thing. I just don't know how.
Yep.
Yeah. But it still goes on. There's still more of it for me.
Yeah.
But I'm finally getting to a place where I kind of welcome it, whether it's positive emotions or negative ones.
Right. Right. By the way, who made those categories of positive emotions and negative emotions? Maybe emotions are just like weather. There's sun, there's sunshine, there's storms. Does that mean that if we could wave a magic wand and say there'll never be storms again, we would do that? Would that be a good thing? No.
No. And
the
joy becomes more intense when you've felt the sorrow or the sadness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter, I don't know if you know this, but I went through the same thing. My first wife died in 2004. And I'm not going to go through the whole story now because some of the people here have heard it, but I've written about this in a couple of places. But yeah, and obviously it's not anything I would ever have wished for. But there is, we were saying a few minutes ago in a different context, somehow there's a feeling of deep, I kind of hate this, everything happens for a reason, that sounds such a kind of spiritual cliche and so kind of superficial, but somehow it feels there's a deep lawfulness to the way things unfold. Are you hearing that?
I would call it a higher order.
Yeah, we could say that, a higher order. It's a rightness. It's a rightness, an appropriateness that goes deeper than the choices that we could possibly make. and that is where the deep teachings happen. And for, for everything that I went through with the process of Maggie dying and then her being gone, um, and there's so much that I went through. I had to stop. I had to stop shopping at our local A&P. This was in New Jersey, because of the satellite station. They were having their music, and that always played these sad, love ballads and so forth. And suddenly I'd be weeping in the produce section. I was like, no, I had to go start shopping somewhere else. But I would certainly say that to whatever degree I'm able to be effective as a teacher, it's because of that. I was doing some teaching before that, but I know that it's all deepened. It's all coming from a very different place now since that. And the other thing, one of the main things that I found, and maybe this will resonate for you, is that during the time of her, when she was going through chemo at home, and I was responsible for, I had to change all these bags with the right mixture and and the food, the nutrition things that were keeping her alive and all of that. And, really worried I was going to screw it up. But I mean, you mentioned that, then the meditation becomes however, whatever word you put it becomes the refuge from all of that. But also, what I experienced was that even forget about closing the eyes and meditating, which often I couldn't get to then. And that didn't matter. Nothing mattered, because I had to so completely throw myself into caring for Maggie that all the stuff that had seemed important to me, right? My job, I was a school teacher at the time, and my writing and my, Dharma teaching, my meditation, which had been a big thing. Everything had to go by the wayside. I just had to be completely in the moment of, I just had to surrender. I had to surrender everything else, throw it into the fire of service.
Yeah, that's what requires it.
Yeah.
That circumstance, it's not a choice. You have to surrender.
You have to surrender. And my big discovery is service is bliss. Service is bliss, right? And this is the thing, I think women, I'm stereotyping here maybe, but women generally already know this, right? Women, because of the way that, society is organized, women often, they've been having to learn this all their lives, right? Whereas, men, I mean, come on, frankly, men are idiots, right? And we have to have, someone drop a safe on our head to learn some of this stuff. And we have to be put in these situations. And when I was put in that situation where everything that had seemed so important was just thrown into the fire, and anytime that happens, that's teaching. I mean, it's not easy. It's what Ram Dass called fierce grace, right? Fierce grace, but it's all grace. I mean, that's another way to say this thing about the lawful unfolding, the rightness of it, even when it's, on one level awful. It's all grace. It's all grace. When Ram Dass had his stroke and was almost killed and lost the ability to talk and walk and play golf and play the cello and all that, that he always said, I was stroked by God. So, and everyone has to go through this shit, but how fortunate are we that we have teachings, that we have the ability to recognize the stuff as grace.
And I have to say, from my theistic point of view, it seemed like the spirit was there providing everything that was necessary for me to get through that.
Right. Right. There's a great story about I forget his name right now. You know what? If Peter, I'm going to recommend some reading to you. It's in one of my books. I think it's in the last one. I think it's in Fear Less. There's a chapter called Lord Shiva Kicks Ass.
I thought you would say Kali.
Yeah. Well, she's on the team also. Lord Shiva kicks ass, and Lord Shiva is, the in the Hindu architecture, he's the Lord of destruction, the ends of things, and he's guaranteed to kick our ass one way or another. And in there, I tell this story about this great. I think his name was Isa, this Japanese samurai poet, and he became very wealthy, and he had all of his wealth, all his property was stored in this barn, and the barn burned down. He lost everything, and his response was to sit down and write a haiku, and the haiku said, "Barns burnt down, now I can see the moon." Right?
Did you know that I'm a poet?
No, but yeah, send me some of your stuff. But yeah, so the moon, of course, that's the light, that's the illumination, that's the beingness, and what's the barn? Where do we store our stuff? Where do we lay up our treasure? As Jesus says, don't lay up your treasure on earth, right? But we all do, right? So you've got it all stored in your house, and you've got it stored in your possessions, and you got it stored on your hard drive, and you got, right? And then what happens when you lose it all?
And you're clinging to it for dear life.
We cling to it, and sometimes we're gonna, we, in a sense, if we're lucky, the stuff gets taken away. And as you say, we're clinging to it. Suddenly, all the stuff we thought that we have to cling to, these are the handholds. There's no handholds, and we go into the thing that we fear most, which is free fall. But guess what? The first half of that word free fall is free. Free. And if instead of trying to continue to clutch at the stuff that's not there anymore, which just gets you agitated, you say, okay, I'm fallen. I'm free.
Yep.
You can do that. For the same money, you can do it that way.
Yep.
And it's a lot more fun.
Take more of it away.
Yeah. You're right. Take my life, please. And ultimately, it is that. Ultimately, it's take your life, please. So I'm going to show you a couple of photos. We're going to have a mantra, a little couple minutes of kirtan before we're out. Share screen. Okay. There they are. Okay, everyone see that? So there's my daughter Tara, her husband David, and there's little Griffin. Little Griffin, there was some medical stuff first couple of days, which in fact we just found out today how dangerous it was, and thank God everything is absolutely fine now. There's the little guy. And they named him Griffin. The Griffin is this is him when he was dealing with his the first couple of days. They gave him the super milk mustache to keep him breathing. And they named him Griffin, which is, that's a mythical beast that's part lion and part eagle, because they figured, hey, he was born in the middle of a pandemic, fires raging around him, freak thousands of lightning strikes around him, give him a name of that summons strength, power. And then his middle name, Sage, for balance that with some wisdom. So, yeah, he is. He's beautiful. Thank you, Dine. Okay, I'm going to mute you all for now. And I'm going to... Me. Put me on the screen. Nope. Okay. So, this is the mantra we sang last week. Hey, Ma, Durga. It seems very appropriate this week. So calling out to the mother, calling out to the infinite in the form of the mother. We were talking before about Mother Earth, Mother Universe, Mother Beingness holding us to our breast, to her breast. And, that first part, hey, Ma, I said this, I think, last week. It's like calling, hey, Ma, I'm hurt. Hey, Ma, I'm scared. Hey, Ma, thanks for dessert. Some people may relate very easily to the infinite in the form of the mother. Oh, yeah, I remember when I would fall and scrape my shin, and I went running home to Mom, and Mom kissed it and made it better, and I always felt completely safe in Mom's arms. So some people can relate to that very easily. Some people may feel, man, I didn't have that. My mom's situation was problematic. I didn't feel that I had that unconditional love. I don't know if this mantra is for me. Now, the really interesting thing about this aspect of practice, what's called bhakti yoga, devotional union through devotion, is that in that situation of I didn't have that in my life as a, in the finite, that's particularly recommended. Okay, good. If, Mrs. Slider, that particular human that was your mother you felt that she didn't provide that, or somehow you couldn't accept it. Great, then that means that there's something there maybe still unfulfilled, some imbalance of energy because of that, which by relating to this big cosmic mom, who is never problematic, that we can balance that. So if you feel that, the mom thing, I don't know, my background, this one may be really for you. Okay? So, hey, Ma, and then Durga is one of the many names of the infinite mother. So, as always, either let it wash over you. If you feel like singing along, that's fine. Hey, Ma, Durga. Hey, Ma, Durga. Hey, Ma, Durga. Hey, Hey Ma Durga. 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 So, thank you all so much, beloved sangha. um, so may all beings swiftly realize their true nature, swiftly awaken from the bad dream of suffering and distress. And thus may peace prevail everywhere. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Perfect. Wake up. There's the teaching. There it is. Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you, Dean.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And her birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.